Hello, 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 and welcome to this month's amazing lineup on the Her Version Impact panel. I have the most amazing female voices here sharing their expertise on the subject of entrepreneurship this morning on a Saturday. Join us as we discuss everything about building a business while still maintaining our sanity. Let's jump right in. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Sabrina Victoria. For those of you that don't know me, for those of you that are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph and a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. Listen. Being a woman in today's world can have its ups and its downs. Being a woman building a business can have even more. I have put together a phenomenal panel of women who are here to give all their juicy secrets, hacks, be vulnerable in talking about the struggles they have endured through the process of building their businesses. For those of you that are listening live, we appreciate you being here and supporting us. This is an interactive forum, so feel free to comment or ask questions, and our ladies will be more than happy to give their advice. All you have to do is comment in the comment section. So welcome, ladies. How is everyone doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Listen, I love that you guys are up and you are hanging out with me this morning on a Saturday. And this is one of the main things when it comes to building a business and being in entrepreneurship is we work sometimes. We work sometimes on Saturday morning. So thank you for being here with me and spreading the goodness of what all of this is. So the way that I handle this is I actually will hand the floor off to one of our beautiful entrepreneurs for 10 minutes. For those 10 minutes, that individual will be in charge of the entire floor, will be asking questions and answering questions. So the first person that I'm going to be handing the mic off to this morning is going to be Michelle. Michelle, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome, Michelle. So I will be handing the floor off to you. Go ahead and give yourself a little intro. Tell us, your name, where you're from, what you do, and then ask your question. And then we'll be here to answer it for you.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I'm so excited to be here. I am Michelle Lee. I live near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a very small town called Harmony. And I am a sales and relationship coach, and I work with a methodology to save people time, energy, and money and build really strong, authentic relationships with everyone in their life, helping them increase their sales, close deals faster, and really connect with people. The key to your business, the key to life is connecting and understanding people. That's what's important. It's not about us. It's about the others and how we can help and serve them. So some of the questions that I get are, why is sales so difficult? And can I be good at it? Some people can sell anything, and I don't want to sell anything, right? And the truth is that anyone can be good at sales. People have to understand that people speak different languages. And in order to connect to people, they need to know their audience, know what language they're speaking, whether that's their child, their prospect, their customer, their family. They need to understand that people show up differently. And they need to pay attention and listen. And then, like I said, speak their language. That's the biggest struggle, is that people go into it assuming that everyone is just like them and they need the same information. So when they go out there, they're actually turning off 75% of the people and not connecting to them because they aren't wired the same. So how many of you have gone and had a sale that was so easy? It was like, oh my gosh, I hit the easy button. Why can't they all be that way? They matched your personality. And that's why you connected. So some of the other questions that I get is, I don't like to sell. How can I get comfortable with selling? Well, everybody's selling every day. You're selling yourself. You're selling yourself on what you want to eat today, where you want to go. You're selling your children on why they should eat a piece of broccoli over that cookie. So once you get comfortable with the fact that, oh my gosh, like I'm literally selling every single day, it takes that edge off because you're just having a conversation. You're influencing, not manipulating. There's a huge difference. And when you understand the different languages that people speak, it makes you a stronger influencer. It makes you a stronger connector. It increases your emotional intelligence. Why do some people need to drive 20 miles out of the way to buy gas and save 3 cents? While somebody else doesn't care what it costs, they just want to get the gas and go, right? So there's different ways that people are wired. And so I work with people on showing them those personalities, understanding how to communicate with each of them. And whether you're negotiating, whether you're selling, any conversation you have, you need to know who's in front of you. I lost everything I had in 2015. I had 2 small kids. I had no money. We literally got rid of everything in our house, and I had to rebuild. And this was time and time again, right? We all have stuff thrown at us, and we have to try to figure it out and move forward. But it's not how many times you fail. It's how many times you get back up and you keep fighting. Because everything that comes at you is pushing you into the life that you need and the direction you need to go. So when everything fell apart, I started a company with credit cards, right? Because the people I worked with needed a job and they had nowhere to go. If it weren't for them, probably wouldn't have went that route. But it pushed me into doing that. And so then I needed to figure it out because I was doing all of the things while raising 2 small kids, trying to pay my bills. I couldn't get paid from the company because there wasn't any money to do that. I had to worry about everybody else. But you can do it. Everything will line up. Everything will fall into place. You just have to be consistent and keep getting out there. Keep showing up. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything? I don't want to keep talking to you.
Michelle, I have a question. What I've discovered lately in the past 10 years, I guess, is that when I go to, say, a cell phone store or almost anywhere where they sell, it sounds so canned and it sounds so unauthentic. They seem to have a script in their head, and I just come away with the feeling like they're little automatons, like I've just been sold by a Stepford wife or something.
Right. So, and what's your question?
My question is, where does that come from, and how can people avoid being perceived that way?
So, unfortunately, they do make scripts, right? But you want to be your authentic self. If you know who your audience is, and people are going to take it different ways. Another personality might not think anything of that, right? But I'm going to guess that you're a very high nurturing person. And so you want that connection. So if you look at the 4 personality types, right? There's a blueprint who's inside the box. They need structure, stability, systems, planning. They hate risk. There's an action person who's outside the box. They want opportunities and freedom. They're your movers, your shakers, your millionaire makers. They blew up the box. You have a nurturing person, right? Full of love. That's my heart. They want that connection. They want to build that relationship. They want to, and they're looking at people and saying, well, this person is not authentic at all. I don't want to buy from them because they don't even care about me. They just care about this sale. And then you have a knowledge person who's like, listen, without me, you wouldn't even have a box. I engineered the box. And they're the ones who are going to ask a ton of questions. They want all the science. They want all the research. They want all the data. It's got to be logical. It's got to make sense. And they're like, you know what? Give me the information. I'm going to research it. I'm going to analyze everything. I'll be back to you in a couple of months when I get the answer that I want, right? Because they don't want to be wrong. So when you look at that, other people would go into that store and they'd be like, oh, okay. That's just normal. Just give me whatever. But you want to build that relationship when you go, so that's why you have to be able to authentically speak the language of the different people around you, or you're going to turn them off, just like you were turned off by that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And I want to say good morning to everyone. And Cheryl just asked a question. Like, I find that when I focus on the person instead of my goals, it's more of a conversation. Good salespeople are good because they are seeking the need to fill. They have scripts because they're hiring people who don't know or care how to do that. It is a skill that must be practiced. That is a great comment there. And the thing is they're trying to help these people to sell. And so they're scripting it out, just like Cheryl said, so because they don't know what they're doing, right? And they're like, okay, well, if you give them a script, they're going to hit it. If you're talking to people and you don't know who they are and you don't have an idea of what their values are, then you need to touch on all 4 of those values so that you can communicate with them and see, okay, where's this person at? I need to meet them where they are. If you went to a foreign country, you wouldn't expect everybody to speak your language. You would learn the language of the people. And that's exactly what you need to do when you're having these conversations with people, is really you need to know who they are and what's important to them.
All right. That was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much, Michelle, for giving us that awesome information. And we'd love to hear more about all the goodness that you have from the business that you're in as we kind of go along. So feel free to chime in as we go along. I am going to actually ask Erika to go second. So Chrystal, you're going to be third. Sorry for the mix up there. Erika, do you mind taking the lead?
No, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Anybody else really super tired because they put in a really long week because you're an entrepreneur and like that's your life and you do it all the time? Right? So I'm so happy to be here. I love speaking with Sabrina. We've done it a couple times already in the past just couple weeks. So it's been amazing. So thank you for having me here today, Sabrina. I appreciate it. I am Erika Hull, and I am the co-founder and CEO of the Corner Office. My amazing business partner is also a phenomenal woman, as well as many of the partners that we brought on. I am happy to actually be on the screen with one of them. Lynette is here with us this morning. She will be our Orlando. We're hoping to do Orlando in 2022, so we're really excited about that. So, in our business, we bring adaptive resources to multivocational women and primary parents, and that's what we focus on. Whether you need business services, you need personal development services, you're a business and you need some help in your organization, or you just do not know how to get all this accomplished, we're the village for you. And so we are just busting at the seams. It's an exciting time to be a woman in business, I believe. I think that 2022 is prime for a lot of breakthroughs, especially if you watch the trends, right? We're all watching them. If you're a business owner, you're watching trends, correct? Are we all watching trends? Anybody else? Obsessed?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So this morning, my question for you, because I know myself, there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and having an entrepreneurial spirit. And those business structures look really different, right? For me, when I look at this over the past 25 years of doing, actually, I added up. My first business was when I was 10 years old. We were in school. And I had a business partner, Luanda. She was amazing. We actually made bracelets and we sold them. And we sold them for to what end, which was our goal was to raise enough money to help the crossing guards get vests, because the following year we were going to be the crossing guards, and we wanted the vest, we wanted the badge, we wanted to, help out. So 10 years old was my first business. And interesting enough, at 10 years old, I still was bound and determined to do it with another woman. And at being almost 45 in December, I am still doing business with almost solely women. And it's such a cool thing. We've got some great men around us supporting us, but it's been amazing. So my question for you this morning is, do you feel that if you approached business as an entrepreneurial spirit versus an entrepreneurial attitude, would it change the way you've approached your business currently or how you can do business in the future?
I would love to answer that question. That's a great question.
Tell us who you are first, please, Leona.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, what's going on, party people? My name is Leona Carter, and I'm an intimacy and relationship coach and a business strategist. And so I love this question because that entrepreneur, it actually connects with the sales question that was asked. But that entrepreneurial, just being an entrepreneur, you think I got to check the box, and do it like, they said, read 3 scripts and it works and it didn't work, or what have you. But the entrepreneurial spirit is something that you embody, and it's an attitude, a servitude that you always have in every situation, right? And so that entrepreneurial spirit, you really understand who you are, and that's how you become so good at sales, because it's not about saying the right script, it's about being authentically you, and people can pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Can I chime in on that?
Yes, please do, Jen.
So Jen Massey, I'm a certified mindset and empowerment coach who helps women break free of limitations so that they can achieve success on their terms. And it's interesting when you asked the question, I was like, well, which one am I? Like, am I an entrepreneur or do I have the entrepreneur spirit? And then I tried to reframe it into like language that I typically use, which is like people who look at opportunities. Because I see someone with an entrepreneurial spirit as somebody who almost has shiny object syndrome. So it's like, how do you ground the shiny object syndrome into the opportunities that will work for you? And I think that's where it crosses over with the entrepreneur. And it's interesting because I'm like, well, I think I'm in the middle, because in my opinion, like a straight entrepreneur is almost grounded in like stress reactions of like, I have this business idea and I have to make it work. And it's like very reactive, where when you have the spirit, it's like, you don't have to have multiple business ventures or like, 7 streams of income to make it work. It's just having an idea and being willing to see the different opportunities as they're presented to you, which Leona, I think is what you were speaking of, is like knowing yourself and knowing your dreams and following those opportunities rather than being stuck in like, I'm an entrepreneur and this is my only path. It's kind of like, there's lots of paths. There's lots of paths and following them.
I love that. I was recently having this discussion with one of our new partners in Texas. She owns a childcare business. And for the longest time, she struggled with actually identifying herself as an entrepreneur because she wasn't in the business working it every single day. She was owning it and operating it and kind of coming in there, making sure that it would be successful and there was structure and guidelines. And I looked at her and I said, and how long did it take you before you felt like you were an entrepreneur? Because I still struggle with it. And it's interesting because we all view these words so differently. And it's really what has been our background. What are we bringing to the table when we start doing these things? What mindsets are we so conditioned to think? I still get caught into I haven't done enough between 9 to 5 hours. And I've been working from home for 15 years. And it still gets me because the first real 10 years of my adult career was so ingrained into that mentality that 15 years later, I'm still struggling it, walking down the street going, is it okay that I'm like taking an hour away from the office? Like, shouldn't I be getting something done? So it's interesting because these themes that we'll talk about today really interpret in ourselves differently because of how much we bring to our own table and what our background was. So does anybody else want to talk about the difference between being an entrepreneur and having the entrepreneurial spirit? Come on.
I feel. As I reflected on the question, it really made me think about the fact that I lean towards the entrepreneurial spirit, because that allows me, I think, to flow with what you say, the trends and the chance to have different iterations and understand that the business may look different than when it was first incepted. And but going back to its purpose is still this, it still serves in this capacity, but the product offering or how you service, right? By the way, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Lynette Phillips, and I'm a leadership coach. And I help leaders with mindful leadership, how to integrate it, be a CEO of yourself so that you can lead others. And so for me, I think being able to understand that at some point, one-to-one, I have capacity now, it will shift. It's just part of what that growth is, will allow me to kind of not hang on and try to keep something as the entrepreneur and go, this is it. This is only it, right? I think of McDonald's when I worked there in high school, and it was like breakfast ended at 10:30. And if you, by golly, were that car that was trying to get in and we nope, it's 10:31. And now it's like breakfast all day. And it was like, man, we could have saved a lot of grief and headache back in high school, back then. But eventually it begins to be, you have to move and flow with where your business is taking you. Like you're on a journey together. Yes, you're steering the ship, but you're both going on a destination. So definitely I lean towards entrepreneurial spirit.
Thank you so much. Anybody else want to answer this one? I came prepared. I have a lot of questions today, so I'm hoping we get to go through this a few times.
Erika, I'd like to chime in on this.
Yes, please do. Introduce yourself first.
My name is Chrystal Knight. I'm an attorney in Illinois. And when I started my practice, now that I look back on it, I don't even know how I found the courage to do it. It was something that just sort of emerged full bloom, and I set a launch date. I made up some business cards. My attitude was, I'm going to do this, and if it doesn't work, I'll maybe have to get a job at McDonald's. I don't know, but here I am. And on January 1st, 1996, I went into practice for myself. I did do some other types of work that were related, but subcontracting around that field. I practice in real estate law. So I started getting contacts from realtors and potential clients. And before I knew it, I had more to do than I knew what to do with. And
isn't that the case? Usually what happens to us, isn't it?
For me, it was.
Yeah. I think it's great that you bring in this aspect of business, because many times the world does not view somebody who opens their own practice, such as a doctor or a lawyer, as an entrepreneur, but yet they are. And so I think we had a comment earlier that somebody said, as a consultant without a physical product or building, I struggle with that as well. And so doctors have a physical building and lawyers have a physical building, and they have this thing that everybody knows about, right? And so when we're doing things that are new and people are like, well, what's coaching services or what's adaptive solutions? And you're going to teach me manageability and margin. What are these things? Because they're not this product that's being opened or on the shelf or a service that is really well known in our world. So there's so many things now. And I find that entrepreneurship in whole really is just deciding that you don't want to rely on a corporate being of a whole bunch of people for your everyday, what am I doing? How am I making money? And how do I get to service people, right? And then you get to establish a culture and hopefully teach it to others, and they work for you, and then they go off and they build their own things, because that's my goal, is like, you're never allowed to just stay here in this job. Like, what do you want to do with your life? I expect you to move forward and move on, right? You want to pass that spirit on. So thanks for answering, everybody.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Erika. That was absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to be handing the baton off to Miss Chrystal Knight.
Thank you, Sabrina. My name is Chrystal Knight. I'm a real estate attorney in the suburbs of Chicago. I've been practicing since 1996. I went into practicing out of my home from the get-go. So I've been doing the at-home office thing for a long time. And when the pandemic hit, it did not really affect me much as a consequence, because I'm used to this. So my first question for everyone, and I have developed my own answer to this question, but I'd like to hear what other people say, is on organization of office and workspace. How can I separate my personal life from my business? And Erika, you touched on that a little bit. And so it's a quick, short question. How can I separate my personal life from my business? And how can I do that from an organizational standpoint?
Well, I'll kick off if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So at the corner office, we teach a philosophy called Better Over Perfect, and it really takes your life and breaks it down into vocations so that you can first organize and structure your life as a whole being, because that's where it needs to start. That's where your foundation is. It's not the structures around you, it's inside of you. And so if you don't have that organization in your life and able to, it's going to be very difficult to then also structure a business and how you're going to show up in that business and how it's not going to interfere with your life and where is it going to intermingle. Like, all of those things become so much more complicated. To answer your question, the first thing I say is let's organize and structure your life, give it a well-rounded foundation. And then from there, then you can start determining what type of person am I? How do I actually work the best? And then what are the solutions that are around me? Is working as well. I've worked from home solid for 15 years. And prior, I did a mix because I had a corporate job and several businesses on the side. And I have found that we have to always have a space that is outside of our home environment as well. So you need to have both. Even though you work from home, you need to have at home, you need to be set up there to do things because it's going to cross over. But you do need to have a location that you can at least escape to for a couple hours a week or a few times a month, where it's, I'm sitting here and this is all I have to focus on. There are no more distractions. And that's why we developed the corner office, is so that you could have that place and still feel at home and that you have a support system, because it's crucial. So that's how I do it. Do your life, then let's do your spaces. So I'd pass it off to Sequoia.
I think Michelle had her hand up first. So Michelle, oh no, okay. Well, what I was gonna say is, like the idea of a home office is really great, but for a lot of new startups, that's not a reality. And so there's this idea that the best businesses started from the dining room table. And if you are starting your business and starting from your dining room table, it's still really important to create that separation of work and life. And so one of the ways that I did that when I was like at the dining room table was I would just cover or put away my work stuff at the end of the day, just so I wasn't looking at it, so I could really clearly separate that, okay, work time, playtime. And so like having a basket where I could just put my computer, put all of my papers, put my whiteboards, like everything into it, really helped me establish those boundaries even before there were like physical walls to create those boundaries.
Go, Michelle.
I don't know about anybody else, but I have a problem even if I have that separate space of shutting down. So even if I have the separate space, then I take my stuff, and when I go into the other room, I bring it with me. So I'm constantly in that working. I can't put it down, which is a problem. So what is there anyone who has how do you shut that down?
I did that too, and I noticed that, and that's why we started establishing our life into vocations. And so there are sections of the day that are assigned to that specific vocation. And so if I know this is my home management vocation, well, then get off the freaking computer and stop working your job or your thing that you're passionate about and go do your home management, because you have the time and you have sections. Your foundation is built. I know when I'm going to show up here. I know when I'm going to show up here. And then that enforced me to have very specific intentional time with my family, with my children, specifically with each child, for my marriage, to spend time on my finances. So to me, because it does, and I don't know about you guys, but I freaking love to work my job. I love our companies. Like, I love every single one of them, from our homescape handyman services to teaching workshops to building, this huge company. I love it. And I don't ever want to stop working. Like, I don't, but I'm also a mother to 5 living children. I'm a wife. I own multiple businesses, not just the one I want to work all the time. Right. Like, so we have to give ourselves the permission to not only have that foundation, but then hold ourselves accountable to that foundation we set for ourselves. So even playtime, I literally built in a time where you get to just do art. Nothing else needs to exist besides what you want to do as a creative, fun person. And so I started road tripping more, and I started doing these things and giving myself permission and that's what we need, I think. So anyway, sorry, Jen, what did you want to say?
First of all, I love all of and everything that's being said so far. And Lucy had a comment that popped up about changing her clothes. That was how she knew. So when she's working, she's in work clothes, not work clothes. Personally, I don't get that. I work in sweatpants all the time. I am my best self when I am in sweatpants and a baseball hat. But what I was going to piggyback was off of Sequoia, when you were saying that you used to, cover your stuff at the dining room table. And what I thought was interesting about this original question was how do you separate your space? And a lot of times when I'm coaching I'll just give an example. I have a realtor, and she has a separate office, but she's never dedicating time to her business because she wants to be a mom. So I actually coached her into bringing her computer downstairs to the kitchen table so that she could work while having eyes on her kid, because it was so much of a separation that she couldn't actually focus on her business because she had a 2-year-old and no childcare. So I think it's really important to know how you work, where you work, and then set those boundaries, which, Michelle, goes to your question of set boundaries. And if we don't honor our boundaries, nobody else will.
Absolutely. I really like the responses I've heard on this. It's been helpful to me because I frankly still struggle with it after almost 26 years or whatever. And I think that to some extent, I went into practice on my own, by myself, with a home office, because I wanted to have control over my time and the ability to set my own schedule. And I always recognized that as an attorney, I have very strong fixed obligations to my clients, and that if I didn't pay attention to my clients adequately and give them the care to their situations that was needed, that they were going to not want to work with me. So to an extent, I'm always balancing. I have one foot in my personal life and one foot in my legal life. But I have had to set those boundaries, and I've been kind of on a journey all this time, gradually learning more and more about how to make that balance better.
Can I just, I saw a comment pop in about someone being on a farm and having really needy pups and needing to find that balance, because a lot of times it's really hard to find an hour to yourself. Actually, that was one of the questions that came in from my clients for this panel, was about like if you have a 9-to-5 or you have kids or you're trying to do all these things while you're starting a business, how do you find the time, or how do you make the time? And I think this goes back to kind of conventional wisdom of like, you need an hour. You might not need an hour. So if you're lucky to get an hour, awesome, use it. But if you can only find 5-10 minute breaks, figure out what's on your list and just micro splice it and just break things down into the most basic step on your to-do list. Because then it's like sending an email might take somebody an hour, but it's like, you know what, let me at least jot down notes of what I want to put into the email. And then the next time you get a 5-minute break, work out the body of the email and so on and so forth. But carving out me time, making me time is really important, and it might look different for everyone. So if you like walking your pups, use that as me time to reset your energy. So like, don't start looking at things as chores, and rather being like my dog's a pain in the butt. And my way of dealing with him and resetting is I just take him for a walk, because then I can let him get his energy out, and then he'll take a nap so I can actually get some work done.
Oh, that's a good one. I used to do that with my kid. He's now 17. I don't have to take him for walks anymore. Listen, Chrystal, that was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for your question and your interactions here. I would love to hand the baton from Chrystal to Miss Nicole Gayatri.
Hello, everyone. So I am Nicole Gayatri, and I am a chosen single mama to an amazing 4-year-old son. We live here in beautiful Costa Rica, where I host retreats and teach women to embody their magic by living their fuck yes. And for me, really, that means that you are living in your magic. You are living in alignment with who you are versus who the world says you should be. So I love the question that we were just dealing with, and I'm going to drop into that a little bit more. But I also co-create and work with an online platform for coaches, healers, and authors, and basically everyone under the sun. And we are bringing more value to our clients there to raise the consciousness and frequency of humanity. So I'm really excited to jump in with all of you today because we are coming from all different walks of life and entrepreneurship. And I really want to kind of piggyback off this question because it's I think there's a lot to it. And hearing other people speak, I'm seeing how very different people can have these really different opinions on how to find that, as it's called most of the time, work-life balance. And for me, as I said, I'm a single mama. And so as Jen just mentioned, and as Chrystal said too, finding those pockets of time, and I think Erika mentioned it too, structuring your life in a certain way so that you are being a mom at some point, or being a dog mom, or having that me time, that time for self-care is so important, as well as structuring some time for your business. And at the same time, I think it's really important for us to not get stuck in whatever schedule we've made and to be in flow with whatever our day happens to be. Because again, I'm a single mama. When I first started out, I didn't have the ability to have childcare as well. Here in Costa Rica, that's not something that's provided. My son is only 4, so he was really needing my attention. So it was really important to me to figure out how I could find flow in all of that and really still have fun, right? Because my whole business structure, my whole offering is teaching moms to have fun so that they can bring that into their life. When you're living in that pocket of flow and still having enough structure, I call it the masculine and feminine balance. So I'd like to speak a little bit more into that, or I'd like to ask all of you, What are the things that you do for yourself during the day to recharge so that you can be giving all of yourself or having enough energy to give to your business and clients, and then also having enough energy to give to yourself and your kids? Lisa, I would love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Sitek. I am a physical therapist. I have my own business called All About You Physical Therapy. And when I first started my business, I recognized the need for me to basically practice what I preach and be in good shape in order to promote, physical fitness to my patients. And so I designed my workday such that I do not see any patients before 11 a.m. and I pay myself essentially to work out in the mornings. I allow myself that 3 hours in the morning to do my workout so I am strong enough to carry my treatment table into patients' houses and to lift legs and do what I need to do as a physical therapist. I schedule my patients around how, to me, it's so important to be fit that that's part of my day. So I just want to throw that out there.
I love that, Lisa. I love that because I think it's really like, I do the same thing with my son. It's like he gets my undivided attention for 4 hours in the morning and again for 4 hours later in the day, and usually an hour in between. So when we can schedule that in, it's like living, speaking, right, walking the talk.
Right. You have to prioritize things, you have to make the time for it.
Awesome. Michelle, love to hear from you.
There was a question in the chat, so I want to do that first before I talk. Who do you use?
Who do you use to hold accountable when needed? Yes. So personally, I hold myself accountable, right? And I have an accountability team. So I use, again, with my online platform that I work with, there's a lot of different people out there who are, in the chats all day long where we can bounce off of each other. And if I need extra time, then I reach out. I also am a fan of, I personally don't really like screens for children, but I am a fan of setting my child up on a Zoom call with his grandparents. So I like to get creative in how I can make that space and time. Right now, my child is watching a movie, right? So being a flow, again, bringing it back to being in flow and what works for you and still aligns with your values and who you are, and allows you to have that space and time. Go ahead, Michelle.
So one of the things is when you have kids and you have dogs, you have distractions that will take you away from that. But there's some people whose kids are older, right? Maybe they don't have that significant other living at their house. And so they have a hard time getting that balance because the balance is kind of out of alignment. Does that make sense? So I've used scheduling and accountability. I have a coach that is fantastic with accountability because that helps, right? Because if you don't have someone in the house to hold you accountable or a friend that you can reach out to hold you accountable, it makes it difficult. Do you have any suggestions on someone who doesn't have the distractions in the house because they don't have kids that they need to tend to? And so is there a better way to find that balance?
I set a timer, to be honest. I love the idea of having a 4-hour work week. That was like one of the first books I read before I became an entrepreneur, was The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. And I love here that Carb Center just said, I consciously spend my first hour or so on meditation, empowering videos when the dogs are sleeping from 3 to 4 a.m. That's awesome. And taking that time whenever you can. So I think it's scheduling. And then when you're in work time, I set myself a timer some days, because if I know if I have a lot on my plate that day, then I will be tempted to keep going. Or if someone texts me and it's like, can we just jump on a call? And it's kind of near the end of my time. I want to help them, right? But I also need to get going because I've got other stuff to do. Or I told myself I was going to the beach today. So setting that timer can be really helpful. I see a lot of people have their hands up. So let's go with Jen next.
Awesome. I just want to piggyback on the timer idea. I'm a huge fan of calendar blocks. So same concept, but I block my calendar off if I know that I have work to do. As a service provider, my client calls are always blocked off, but if I have to actually get work done, if it's not on my calendar, I'm not going to do it, because I'll just look at my calendar and be like, oh, I have free time. I'm going to take a walk, or I'm going to go for a hike, or I'm going to take a nap. Naps are my downfall. But they're also very needed. So to your point, your original question of what do I do to fill my bucket? I either take a nap or I take a walk. But blocking my calendar is incredibly important to me, because if I have tasks that have to get done, I pick and choose when I'm going to do it. And I pick and choose based on my energetic flow. Mm-hmm. So if I know that I'm most productive in the morning, I'll get it done in the morning. If it's a task that I don't really need a lot of brain power on, I'll schedule it for the afternoon. I also don't really believe in a standard work week. As a service provider, I only see my clients during certain days and times, but I tend to take naps in the afternoon, which means I'm then working from like 7 to 9 because I get a second wind. So it's all about holding yourself accountable to a schedule that works for you, not the conventional schedule, but then taking the time during the day. So Erika, you mentioned earlier, like sometimes you take an hour to go run an errand. You're like, oh, is this okay? I'm like, yes. Yes, it is. Because if you don't do it then, when are you going to do it? Like, if you have to go to the dentist, go to the dentist. But it's just making sure that you're holding yourself accountable to deliverables that matter, and also not sweating the deliverables that don't.
I love that, Jen. Thank you so much for sharing, and completely agree. Again, that all comes back to that flow and that alignment with who you are as an individual person. You're an entrepreneur. This is your business. And most likely you started this for your time freedom, for your family freedom, because you wanted to be able to write life on your terms. And in order to do that, you have to follow your needs. Michelle, what would you like to say?
And give yourself grace. Things happen. You have to give yourself grace. I mean, you can't control everything around you, and you're doing the best you can, and you're worth it. So take that time to give yourself the things that you need, because if you forget about yourself, you're going to burn out, and it's not going to do anybody any good.
Exactly. I love that. Yes, Leona. Oh, and Sophia. I'm going to go Leona first and then Sophia after.
Awesome. I just want to, pose another question. What happens when you run out of you? It's not going to be pretty. Ask me how I know in August 2004. So it is crucial and, highly important for you to prioritize you, because nobody else will. And there's not a second you to do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for saying that, because burnout is so real, especially for entrepreneurs. I think moms in general, right? It's like there's so much on the plate. But even if you don't have kids, you can easily burn out. Sophia, I would love to hear more from you.
Hey guys, I'm Sophia. I'm a true beauty coach. I work with women impacted by abuse and betrayal trauma. And I'm gonna just piggyback on what Leona said. Like, I've been on the burnout train. I've been on the burnout train. And I'm so excited just to hear all of us talk about the importance of flow. Because in the beginning, I was, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I have to do things by this time, stuck in that whole 9 to 5. Oh my God, I didn't get everything done before the kids were finished with school. Like, I failed, But then when life happens, you realize you can't work like that. Like, I can't work like that. Single mama here too. And a lot of times my day does not look like what you would think your typical day looks like. My kids come home and they know if mommy says, okay, mommy has some work to do right now. I need you all to take a minute and do something. Like, they know. And sometimes I even get them involved if it's something that they can do, organizing, I work with women belly to belly as far as makeup and glam and things like that. So if they know, okay, mommy needs me to help organize some product or something like that, then they can do it. And they get so excited about it. They get to see, oh, this is what mom's life is. I feel like I'm helping, and I'm teaching them skills too. My middle son, I have 3 boys. My middle son, he's really entrepreneurial minded. And so he's always asking me for a way to earn money, And so if I can help to bring him in and show him, some skills, it helps me out too. So I'm really all about that flow. And like we said, doing kind of what works for you in whatever season you're in.
Yes. Gosh, Sophia, I love that you brought all of that in, because that is one of my main points with the work that I do too, is like to bring your magic in and to be able to live your own fuck yes. If you're a mama, your kids have to be involved in that. You have to be giving them that time, and showing them what you do at work is really important to foster their excitement as well, and to help them have that entrepreneurial spirit or become those entrepreneurs. And when we let them in on our work side of life too, they feel special, they feel seen. And that makes everybody's life more fun, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies. I really, really am so glad that we got to speak on this topic.
Thank you, Nicole. Absolutely phenomenal. And I apologize for pronouncing your last name wrong.
Oh, está bien. All good.
I love your new do. You look absolutely beautiful. I love the earrings. Gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
I would love for you to hand the baton off to Miss Lisa.
All right. Hi, I'm Lisa Sitek. As I mentioned before, I'm a physical therapist. I have my own business, All About You Physical Therapy. I created my business. I'm going to kind of diverge a little bit from the rest of you. It seems like you all are born entrepreneurs, and I am totally not. I was in practice working for other people pretty much all my life. And I was seeing 15 or 16 patients a day and feeling very strung out and very unhappy working for other people as a therapist. And I lost my job because I wasn't a team player. And I just didn't know what to do because I wasn't fitting in. And so it was actually my mother, who was born in Maine. And I think Maine just like develops entrepreneurs by, I think they grow entrepreneurs like, other places grow weeds. Mom was always telling me, you should have your own business. You should have your own business. And I didn't feel like I had what it took to be an entrepreneur and to have my own business. But I pretty much ran out of other options, so that's what I did. And so that's really where I come with my question, to you guys. Do you think that there are certain essential skills that are necessary to be an entrepreneur? I have, of course, got my own answers to that question, but I'd really like to hear what you guys think. Anybody care to speak to that? Essential skills or abilities that you need to be an entrepreneur? Lynette, why don't you go ahead?
I love that question. And the fact that you kind of were so vulnerable about saying, hey, I didn't feel like I was an entrepreneur. A lot of times we don't think through those things. We start with the feeling of it, and that's where the fear comes from. And when I think about, especially the entrepreneur of today, which by the way, women are like leading out of the pandemic. Like we were like, oh, we're going to have to solve this world problem. Clearly,
yes.
So we're going to jump on in there and do those things. I think that we all innately have a lot of the skills that we can rationalize. Okay, I know how I can go on. Someone can teach me how to manage this social media or put all these steps in a row. I think the mindset skill is the muscle that has to get like the most workout. It becomes like the training for the marathon. But if you think about a marathon, it's like, I got to first learn how to run the first mile. And then I got to chart my time, and I got to figure out how I'm going to get to the half marathon. And then I'm going to get to the full 26.2. And I don't know that a lot of times going into entrepreneurship, that's kind of the first focus. It could be, okay, I bake cakes. I do them really well. People said I should charge for them. And I want to do that. And then the overwhelm of like, oh, I got to file all this paperwork, or I got to pay business taxes. And then people feel like I can't do this. No one's taught me how to do this. And then it just goes back to, this is part of just running that marathon, getting yourself in order. There is this kind of piece of administration, but when you show up and you do your magic and you do your excellence and you're of service to people, that being that way of sharing your skills, because let's be real, the greatest bakers usually bake with love. It's like, I can follow your recipe to a T, but I can't make it taste like that, look like that, do that. I can't get the crust on the pound cake like that for anybody with a good grandma with a recipe. But it comes back to, am I willing to keep going back and keep learning and the growth that is supposed to take place, just like your business is supposed to grow and you want it to scale and you want to increase your impact. so is your growth. You are not supposed to be stagnant as a business owner. So I think the skill set and the frame of mind to say, I too support me being a part of the journey while I'm servicing others are just kind of more mindset skills. I think anything that you cannot deliver on yourself, hopefully your business grows well enough that you invite people on the journey. You can hire them. They will be there as advisors. You can join a mastermind. There's a lot of things you can do to help fill the gaps, and you're not supposed to do it alone. I think we think you're supposed to do entrepreneurship alone, and you're not.
Very good. Thank you very much. Great answer. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? Michelle, I think, is next. Go ahead.
So look at what your superpowers are. What are you really good at? What do you like to do? And like Lynette said, like find those other people that can help you in those areas that you don't feel that confident in, or you don't like to do those tasks. And anyone can be a great entrepreneur. Anybody. They aren't just born that way. You have to practice those skills. And so you're doing great.
Well, I've been in business for 6 years now, so I'm still solvent, and I consider that a success. But thank you. Yes, I do think persistence and a willingness to pretty much take on problems head on and ask for help when you need it. Those are essential skills. Erika, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, absolutely. When we talk about skills, there's so many things in life that we can actually learn. Consistency is a skill that we can learn. Discipline is a skill that we can learn. Accountability, all these are skills that we can learn. And so look to someone in your life that does what you want to do well. Then look at their life season profile. Like, first of all, we've got to make sure we're comparing apples to apples, because comparisons are good. And when we use it the correct way. And when we use it the correct way, then we can start establishing true expectations instead of assumed expectations. And when you start setting true expectations, you can start managing things really well. Because you know what you're expecting from yourself. You also know what can actually get done in 5 minutes, what can get done in 15. And for each of us, those things are different. And so structuring tasks, say, these are tasks I can do in 15 minutes when I have 30 minutes, because many of us can't escape thinking in time until years later. And so we still need to utilize that some measurability, right? We need to quantify and qualify things. Humans were obsessed about it. So figure out, do you need to qualify it as far as like amount of time that you're getting done, or do you need to quantify and say, I just need an hour, like I need this section, or I need time. And so when you start understanding how you think and how that outward reaction happens, then you'll start understanding really where are the skills that I need to learn, where do I excel, and who can I emulate until I feel I have that skill developed enough. But in reality, we're all going to be redeveloping all of these skills constantly. None of us have 100% of the skills to succeed 100% of the time, or we wouldn't need each other. So,
that's for sure.
Those skills are relative to who you are and also to the business that you're actually performing. Because our life, we're all entrepreneurs. You are a CEO of your life. And again, you are running and operating on those vocations. So when you start looking at your life more as a business, you'll start understanding what skills you need to improve on, because they're usually the ones you need to improve on in your life.
That's a very good point. And thank you very much, Erika. I appreciate your input. How about Michelle? Did you have something else you wanted to say?
I did, but let Jen go. She hasn't spoke yet.
I'm sorry, Jen. I didn't catch that.
All good.
Please, give me your input.
It's really tough to see all the different hands because we're all just so excited to jump in. But I wanted to piggyback off, really, you've all touched on this, but Lynette, what you started with the mindset. And I think the number one thing that an entrepreneur needs, the one skill, is belief in yourself and belief in your idea. Everything else you can figure out, because if you believe in yourself and your idea, you'll figure out how to make it happen. And there was a Brene Brown quote that I love, that it's, you don't have to do this all alone. You were never meant to. And there's nothing more true than that. And the one thing I want to stress is, especially when you're new to business, You don't have to hire people. You don't have to have the money to get the support you need. Barter, ask for help, find interns, find unpaid help. It
That's
exists
excellent.
and you can barter. So like, don't feel like it's like, oh my God, I have to do all of this because I can't afford to pay somebody.
Oh, that is so well said, Jen. I totally understand where you're coming from. And I felt like I had to know how to become an accountant and know how to become a marketing specialist and know how to create my own website. And for exactly what you were saying, I was on a shoestring. So
yeah, there's resources out there.
There's a
You can
lot
find
of
them.
resources out there. Very, very good. Does anybody have something to say about that? Let's see. I think Sophia hasn't had a chance to talk, so let's hear her.
Yeah, I'm just gonna yes to what Jen said. I mean that belief in yourself and your idea, because I'm sure we all know a lot of people that come into entrepreneurship and then we're going along and then we look to the side and they're gone. Like, what happened? You know? And it's like you have to have something inside that I can do this. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm not going to quit, because the journey is like this. You know, it's not like, yeah, we're going. But because some days, you have those good days and you have those really crappy days, but you just have to have that. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna figure this out. You know, it may not look good today, but it's gonna look good tomorrow. So definitely that mindset. I think that's something that's really imperative to be on this journey. Yeah,
I agree. Well, if I may interject that for me, it was an incredibly strong desire to help people recover from injury. And I wasn't able to do that working for someone else. I have set up a concierge type business where I spend as much time with my patients as I need to. And usually my sessions are like 90 minutes long, sometimes even more. And the gratification that I get, helping people is for me what it's all about. And so this was the only way I was able to do what I wanted to do. So that strong belief in what I'm doing has really carried me through. And I can see that in all of you, that you all seem to have that same. I think that might be the probably the be all end all. You must believe in what you're doing and be doing it for the right reasons. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? I saw some hands. Michelle, you seem like you had something else to say. Let's hear it.
Know your why, because things are going to get hard. Things get hard. And if you know what your why is, it will keep pushing you through those hard things. So you got to focus on, why am I doing this? What is pushing me? Otherwise, people give up too easy when things start to get difficult and it starts piling up, and they forget what they were doing it for in the first place.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
That was absolutely, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it. And I would love it if you were to hand the baton over to Miss Sophia.
All righty. It's all yours, Sophia.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here this morning. My name is Sophia Geraldo, and I am your true beauty coach. I work a lot with women belly to belly in the beauty space, helping you get glammed, helping your skincare game get right for over 15 years. And so I'm that person that you go to where you're like, oh my gosh, I have something to go to. And now I don't know. I don't know what to do. Call me, right? So what happened was, I was in that space. I've been in that space for over 15 years, but people didn't know that as I was helping them to become more confident in how they showed up in this world, that I was going home to a marriage filled with abuse and betrayal trauma, and that my confidence was really, really low. People didn't know that. And so what happened was, I wound up getting married to someone that had a sex addiction, and I didn't know what to do. And so in that moment, it really had, like I said, my confidence low, my self-worth wasn't where it was. But I decided that I wanted to step into a personal recovery journey. And on that personal recovery journey, I met a therapist, and she said to me, Sophia, you're going to have to learn how to live for an audience of one. And those words she said to me, it really shifted everything. And out of that experience, now I help women find healing and community. I help them rediscover their beauty and become confident in who they are because of whose they are. And so I'm really excited about what I get to do. And I have a question for you ladies today. we were just talking about some mindset stuff, and my question just happens to be around mindset. So I'm going through this book study with a accountability group of other entrepreneurial women, and we're reading this book called Go Big Now by Julia Pimsleur. And so we just finished a chapter about limiting beliefs. And if you are not familiar with limiting beliefs, it's those things that you kind of think in your mind, those things that you think are true. Most often they're really negative. I can't do this happened to me. And so I want to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs, because one of the ones that and I'm gonna be vulnerable here, one of the ones that I've had to wrestle with in my business is around my ability to be successful. Because when I was going through the abuse in my marriage, I worked really hard to fix that thing. Like, I thought it was my fault, and I worked really, really hard to try to make things better. And that's one thing I can say, like, I tried, I tried, right? And so when I bring that over to my business, a lot of times I can get into the mind space of, I worked really hard at that marriage. I tried to fix that thing and it crashed and burnt. And my belief, I can work really hard at my business and it's going to crash and burn, And so that can limit me, and that can keep me from taking big steps. And so learning how to deconstruct those things and push past those things is what I continually work through. So I would like to open it up to you ladies. And when you, if you don't mind sharing what one of your limiting beliefs is, and what tips and strategies that you've taken to just bust past those things.
I would love to share on that. That's such a universal question. It's one of those universal questions we can all have a phenomenal answer to. But one of the things that I struggle with was that I'm not enough. And I was, I intentionally was like, I don't want to own a business. There's just no way I don't want to own a business. But I got in a space where the corporation that I was working for loved me for me. And so when it was time for presentations on behalf of the company, they would come to me. When it was time to woo the crowd, they would come to me. And then I got to a point and said, wait a minute, if they love me for me, I should start loving me for me. I was trying to be her, and I was trying to be him, and I was trying to be everybody else, but the company loved me for me. And so when I start accepting me for me and understanding that I am enough right now on my way to becoming, then I was like, okay. I got this all day. I got me all day. I'm the best version of me, and nobody else can be me but me.
Yep. Love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Who else? Anybody else want to jump in? Go ahead, Michelle.
I always call it head trash. So growing up, you get all this head trash, all the things that happen to you. And so I had a lot of self-doubt, of problems, of all of that. And I poured into a lot of self-development. But I think what was key is that I had someone believe in me before I believed in myself.
That's good.
And that shifted everything. And I was like, well, wait a second. And it's just like she was saying, like, once somebody believes in you and you're like, oh my gosh, wait a second, these people believe in me. Wait, what am I missing?
Yeah.
And then you start to look in and you're like, you have to love yourself before you can go out there and have success.
That's good.
And you have to get rid of the head trash and try to shift your mindset to a place of, I deserve more.
Yeah.
I deserve abundance in all areas of my life. And no matter what has happened in your past and how many people have beat you down, you are amazing just the way you are. Everyone is perfect just the way they are. And I always go out and try to be better than I was yesterday. And sure, I make mistakes and I screw things up all the time.
Yeah, that's so good. We have a question here. Charlotte, she says she loves head trash. She says, wow, yes, I have that as a single mom. How do I start to believe in myself? What is the first step? What is the first step? Anybody want to tackle that?
Lynette, you go first and then I'll jump in.
Yes, the two coaches, we're going to make this like a group coaching session. So I'm excited to partner with you. And we can tag team on this one. So I'm going to give a little bit of a quick neuroscience background. So I am trained in the limbic performance system, right? So our midbrain and how we think, we feel, and how it ultimately impacts what we do. So when we think about, I love this term head trash. So I am going to have to coin it and always give credit to Michelle for it. But essentially, what is happening in the brain when we have an experience, it could be a memory, it could be happen one time. Our brain has to do something with that. It will either delete it. That's when you're like, oh gosh, what did you have for dinner last night? And you're like, what did I have for dinner last night? It's going to notice it. It's going to try to map it to, is this a previous experience, right? And this is where if you start to have the same thoughts over and over again, you're now building that head trash, right? I've noticed that. I've felt that before about myself. I can't get to things on time. It makes me feel bad. So it's going to delete it. It's going to notice it, and it can even distort it at times, right? So now I have to really be down on myself, or maybe I get really excited about something because I want to give myself a whoop whoop. So it's really at a baseline level. That's how you're going to start to build those beliefs in your brain. That doesn't mean that they're truths. It means what has happened with an experience that I have had. This is why we live in a world of various different beliefs, and others have them. But another cool thing about our beliefs is that they actually inform our values. So when we start to look at our own personal self-worth, our own values, right? So if you're like, okay, I really believe I get connection, I really enjoy the work that I do, you usually feel that, you do more of that work. But if your belief is, hey, I'm struggling as a mom, I can't, do the Pinterest level type things, or I forgot certain things, I don't seem organized with it. You start to feel that, and that it just keeps this cycle over and over and over again. So starting with that is whether it's getting yourself surrounded by a lot of the resources to help you on the beliefs level. It could be that you might need to work with a therapist or something, that there may be something even back that have triggered a memory that goes, where did that belief even begin? Mm-hmm. How did that start? We've gone through educational systems. We've gone through different jobs. We've gone through relationships. It could be marriages, different things that we didn't even realize our brain went through. Either we deleted it, we noticed it, or we distorted that experience. And it has now been stored within me. If it's still there and it's something that keeps coming up, it could be just an understanding of your core values even more, and quickly doing exercises of like, what is it that I really love to do? What is it that I like to read? What is it that I like to experience? What is it that really annoys the heck out of me? Well, what's the opposite of that? Because I want more of that. And what do those things give you through the process of experiencing them, right? You'll start to uncover more or less your values on a tangible level, and getting those words and then connecting them and saying, well, gosh, how do I rewire my actual brain science to come back? If I believe this, or I really enjoy, I want joy in my life. Joy is very important to me. But to do that, I've got to go deeper level, and I've got to go what feeds my joy, and I've got to create new memories that create those beliefs. So that's just kind of a way for, Charlotte, as she wants to think about starting to believe in herself, the things that you're experiencing. What is your life like, your world, that are going to create those memories, fire off those neurons, and really build the life for you that you want. So it is and it starts with little steps. It could just be how you invest in your time to reflect, your time to journal, your time to see yourself in just what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and how it impacts what you do, because they're so interconnected.
I love that.
Pass it to Jen.
I love what Lynette's saying, because then that next thing that happens is when you've done that, you create new I am statements. And an I am statement is a matter of fact truth. And it creates that belief system that the universe has no other option but to create it to come to pass. And so it's when we say I am fat, then I am fat. Like, I will always look at myself if I continue to say that, and my body and everything around me will do everything in its power to make that statement true. And so when you attack that value system and really get down to what is it that I believe? Why do I believe this way? is it a true thing or do I need to delete it? Did I distort it? Then those create your true I am statements, and you can start changing them. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I am valuable. I am smart. And you become what you say, right? And so that just, and I can say this because Lynette and I have done these things. You know, we've all, I think of many of us on this panel have done a lot of this work. I'm right there with you, Sophia, as I was in a horrific relationship. I was taken by a serial abuser, and for 6 years he had me, and I lost everything that I ever had, every value, every dime, every sense of worth. I was the lowest of the low, and I felt that for the rest of my life, everybody would view me that way, that I was not only head trash, but I was trash. And so when you're in that space, it's hard, and especially if you're the one doing it to yourself. If you're the one abusing yourself, that's really, really hard to get over. And so all of these things that as women we're saying because as women, we struggle with this a lot. And we don't have to have gone through it. We just struggle with this bad mental picture of ourselves, and it's way worse than what other people view us. So anyways, thanks. Jen, what do you want to say?
So y'all hit it. I want to go like real simple here. Like, what's the first step? Challenge the belief that you're having. Yeah. Just challenge it, because all the science that Lynette just shared is incredibly true. I was actually going to dive into the same thing about which actually, Sophia, with your original question with limiting beliefs, about how there's layers of limiting beliefs. Like, limiting belief is actually the weakest one. Interpretations, assumptions that we make about ourselves and our inner critic. That's when it, like, the limiting belief that I'm not enough is actually the inner critic, which goes back to something that happened probably between ages of 7 and 10, which is, Lynette, what you were saying, like when we start to distort the truth. But the real basic step of like how to start limiting the head trash, right? Silencing the head trash is when we start to think those negative thoughts, just ask like, whoa, why am I thinking this? And what else could be true? Yeah. What else could be true? The same thing, you mentioned, Charlotte, that you were a mom. Like the same conversations that you have with your kid. Like if your kid comes home from school and he's like, you know, so-and-so doesn't like me, I'm a terrible person. Well, no, you're not, sweetie. Why do you think that? What else could be true? So it's having those same compassionate conversations with yourself is the number one way to stop with the head trash.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Thanks so much, Jen. Michelle.
Sabrina, do we have time or we switch?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and you know, every day is a struggle. So take those baby steps, because, you know, you can start getting back into your head no matter what. Like I got into my head this morning because I totally screwed up when I got on here, and I did it all wrong, and I didn't mean to do it wrong, but I did. And it just threw me off the entire time because I was beating myself up the whole time saying, oh my gosh, I did it wrong. I didn't mean to do that. I had my questions laid out, but the shift this morning changed everything.
Sorry.
But I want people to know that every day you make mistakes, things happen. So you have to be able to shift out of that. Okay, I made a mistake. I did it wrong. I'll do it better next time. Yeah. And not get stuck there, because I used to get stuck there for weeks, months, years, and it would continually play over. People make mistakes. Things happen. So it's just making those baby steps every day to do better than you did yesterday.
Exactly. And to go along with that, Michelle, the very first round, they used to be called round tables, now they're called impact panels here on her version. The very first one I did, I actually left the directions to my ladies up on the screen where it said, like, please make sure your head is centered and make sure your lighting is good. So not only did I leave that up for like the first like minute of us coming on live, but then also there's a typo in the directions. So I was mortified. I'm like, I'm telling all my friends, I'm like, I got this thing going. I'm so proud of myself. I got these ladies that are coming on and this and that. And, you know, family, friends are watching, like supporting me. And then I'm on, do the whole intro, everything. We introduce the first person and then boom, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so mortifying. And that itself could have kept me from doing this again. Like, that's embarrassing, you know? And then being able to show that to the next group of women and being like, this is what it looks like, knowing that there's a typo and that there's this thing right front and center as soon as they start. And then the feelings of like, they're going to think I'm an idiot. They're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. This looks so juvenile. But now, you know, looking, I didn't let that hold me back. Same as what Michelle said. I didn't let that, you know, wear me down. You dwell on it for a little bit. You get sad about it for a little bit. You beat yourself up for a little bit, and then you just keep going. You have to keep continuing, keep creating, and keep building. And those of you that are on here with me now probably never even saw that one and don't even know. Do you know what I mean? So important. What's up, Chrystal?
I just wanted to tell you, Sabrina, I noticed that. And I did not think you were an idiot. All I thought was that you had prepared your panel.
Yes.
And typo, no big deal. I see typos all day long. You know, everywhere I look, there's typos. No big deal.
I love that.
No, you are so hard on yourself. And I think we all are very hard on ourselves. If that was the worst thing that happened that day, whew. You're okay, girl.
Thank you. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate that. Well, this has been great. I am looking for Sophia to hand the baton off to Sequoia. Thank you so much, Sophia. I appreciate that. And Sequoia, you're up.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sequoia. I am a web designer for coaches. I consider myself the bridge between the gap of coaching and technology. When I first started my business, the question that I had for everyone is the question that I'm going to ask all of you too, which is, what was the first investment that you made in your business? Chrystal.
Business cards. I created my own business cards, and I did not spend a lot of money because I didn't have a lot of money. I had student loans that were huge. And so I designed them myself. I was very proud of them. They were fairly simple compared to what I do now, but I wanted to make sure that I had something to give to people that would have contact information for me. And this is in 1996, you know, before email was really even up and running, and to a large extent, we were still doing a lot of faxing. But I wanted to make sure that people could call me and they could fax me. And I accomplished that. And over the years, I have continued to have business cards. I've changed the design of them, but I always try to put my own personality into them.
Do you still have business cards?
Absolutely. And I get asked for them a lot too. Awesome. I run through them. I'm on my last box. It's taken a while to go through them, but I still use them almost every day.
Wow. I only use my business cards to drop them into like the free dinner or whatever at a restaurant. It's like the only time that my business cards ever get used. Michelle.
I joined a networking group. I didn't have business cards. I didn't have a website. I had nothing. And that was the first thing that I did. And, you know, all the rest of the stuff, I figured I could just work it out later. And I could just give them my contact information. And it was a huge benefit to my business and getting it started.
Awesome. Lisa, go ahead.
Hi. I invested in a website. That was the first thing I did because I started my business in 2015. And at that point in time, it was clear to me that pretty much if you're not on the internet, you're not anywhere. And to this day, I would say I've got at least 50% of my business is from internet, basically having my website, and, being on all of this social media and all of that is critical. I do get like 50% of my business from, word of mouth, but at least 50% comes from that website. So that's all I have.
Yeah. Sophia, I think you had your hand up.
I'm trying to think. I came in product, so I think I did product, and I think I did the website and the business cards as well. I think I did all of them. I think I did all of them. But like, it's interesting what you say about the business cards, because especially since the pandemic, like I don't know if you all heard the whole, do we still need business cards? Should we have a digital business card? But it's right. A lot of people are still using it's something about having something in your hand, So yeah, I think business cards are still really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation for sure. Jen, you had your hand up.
The first investment I made in myself was in myself. I was at a really low point in my corporate career, and I knew that I wanted to start a business, but to start the business I wanted, I needed a certification. So while I was still working through corporate, I took this money that I had set aside and I enrolled in a coaching certification program. So the very first investment I made was in myself and in my future. Then it was the business cards and the website and the stickers, which love giving people stickers. They actually hold on to them, and it has my Instagram handle on it. Business cards get lost all the time, but first it was really the investment in myself that spun for the rest of my success.
Charlotte, I see your comment. Thank you for sticking around. We're so happy to have you.
I love the business card idea. So let me show you guys something. See, this is if you can see the scan right here, this is a digital business card. It's hard plastic.
Oh, interesting.
And so people, what they do is you take your phone and you scan it. Let me see, I'm doing it. You scan it, and then all my information pops up. This is something I hold on to. I don't have 1,000 business cards. I got one. And you scan it electronically. It's called, look, I'm trying to make it, it's .dot. Look that up. And I have all my information, all my handles, my latest book, all the things. So it's just one way I actually was trying it as a, should I get business cards? And I was like, I'm just going to try this and electronically. And I love it. So I don't have to do all the handing out.
That's really cool. Yeah.
What's really cool about that idea is that's a physical hard plastic one, but you can get those QR codes for free. So you could just get the QR code and pop it on a paper business card as well. So
I actually
dual tag team it.
Yeah, well, I actually have that on. You could just use the QR and send it. Yeah, it's so sophisticated.
My business card has a QR code on it that takes you to my website, but that's because I'm a tech nerd. Who did anyone else want to share their first investment? Yeah, Nicole.
So again, I'm always very unconventional, but sort of like Jen, my investment was in myself, but also in a way where I could network. And so my first thought was I got a membership to a really expensive gym. I lived in New York City at the time. And so I got a membership to one of the most expensive gyms. So I knew I was going to be connecting with high quality and people who were millionaires all the time. And so I would be working out and I'd be chatting with someone. Oh, what do you do? Oh, actually, I help people. I'm a coach in this way. And then, oh my gosh, I need your information. You sure do. Let's keep working out together. And so it was really an unconventional way. But that's just to say that people should really, when growing your business, again, it's unique to you. What are you offering? And where are you going to meet your clients? How are you going to meet those people that are going to support you? Whether that be as other business owners or as people who are going to, got a little dinosaur in the kitchen here. Now he's a wolf. I'll let y'all keep talking. But yeah, I love to think outside of the box when it comes to anything. So just because conventional wisdom says you should do it this way, I think it's important to always check in with yourself and what is the way that would work best for me.
Can I piggyback off of that real quick? That kind of unconventional way of connecting with people. And I know we've this is kind of gone off the rails here, but going back to the comment I made earlier about you can do things for free. Because I know a lot of people probably tuning in are new to business. And if you don't have a lot of money, create the opportunities. So I created, when I lived back in Pennsylvania, and I'll explain that when it's my turn, but I created a hiking group because I wanted to connect with like-minded women who loved nature. So I created a hiking group and we would hike every month, and it ended up being a great funnel for my business. But really, I didn't do it for my business. I did it because my core values are freedom and connection, and the pandemic had taken that away from me. So it's like outside is safe. So think of unconventional ways, whether it's joining a gym, joining a networking group, creating something. If there's a group that you're like, man, I wish this existed, start it. Use your entrepreneurial spirit and start it so that you can continue to invest in yourself. And because there's so much more to investing than just money as well. It's where are you investing your energy and finding the right places to do that.
That's so great. Charlotte said, how do you figure out what you want to do? And I think it goes back to what's the first thing you invested in. Get a notebook and get a pen. Like this is $1, right? Like $1, or maybe $3 now because we live in 2021. But get something where you're just constantly, any idea, you're writing it down, a thought of what you want to do, you're writing it down, you're journaling your things that you're passionate about, you're talking about things you don't like. And in that, you will notice what is the common problem or theme that you continuously keep on coming. What is the hurdle that you keep on coming that you just do not think that you can get over? Because if you have that hurdle, 50 million other women or business people or human beings have that problem too. Like statistically, 1 in 5 people will have that problem, and that equals about 50 million people in this world. So find where the problem is and then go, I have a solution, figure out what your solution is. So if you know what the problem is, you can figure out the solution, you can sell it. It's sellable. It doesn't have to be a product. It could be a concept, an idea. I mean, we're selling our thoughts and our words now. We're selling encouragement. Anything can be sold to make money, but realize like the biggest currency that you are making and spending is time, because money is just another fucking facade, and don't buy into it. You do not have to be in the red or in the black to be a good business or a bad business. Like that stuff is just, we're quantifying and qualifying again. So remember, the only thing you can ever spend and get back is time. And so when you look at those things, I think then you start figuring out, what is it that I actually want to do? Where do I want to spend my money? And in my, because time is the only money you actually own, and it is yours. And so where do I want to spend that time? And I think then you start finding the solutions, and then you decide, where's my first investment? Is it myself? Is it a pad of paper? Like, where do I need to start first? So you'll start getting those answers for yourself, because we will all have different answers to it.
I think also where you start is not necessarily where you'll end up. Like it's very easy to think, if I start a business, I'm going to be stuck in it. But I'm sure all of these women here have pivoted and done different things at some point. My business has gone through many different iterations. There was a point where I was like leading Instagram training seminars. Like, what is that?
Well, we're all Ross in a couch. Ross in the couch and those stairs. Come on, friend. Pivot. Like you have to be able to. You're going to pivot 50 million times, I'm sure.
Yeah. So finding something that gives you, that fuels you and you have passion for, is a great place to start. And, you know, maybe you'll start making knitting hats for cats, and then you'll realize that you're really good at talking to people and empowering people, and you'll become a coach. And so there's tons of businesses where people start with something, with a small idea, and then it creates this huge business. I saw hands. Michelle, go ahead.
Well, everything's a journey. And so when you start out and you think about, okay, what makes me passionate? What fires me up? How can I make a business out of that? And like you said, it can turn into something completely different than what you thought originally. But God has a plan and will take you where you need to be. Different things will come in and push you into different directions. I became a coach by accident, literally by accident. But it was the journey. When you look back, you can kind of connect the dots to how you got there. At the time, you can't see it. But afterwards, you can look back and be like, I understand what got me here and why I'm here.
Lisa, you had your hand up. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, kind of addressing Charlotte's question from previously, is how do you figure out what business to do? And for me, I just wanted to kind of share a little story. I'll try to be brief. I was an electrical engineer for 18 years for the space program before I became a physical therapist. And there was a very difficult thing for me to figure out what I wanted to do instead of being an engineer. It took me literally years. And I wanted to share with Charlotte specifically, yes, you should certainly, go with your passion. For me, I loved working out. I know that's weird, but that was me. I loved working out. And I found that when I was at the gym, people would come and ask me advice and stuff. And so I knew I wanted to do something physical, but I didn't know what. And I wanted to just share just for a moment that it took me a long time, a lot of research. I looked into a lot of different options of what sorts of jobs, are there out there for people who want to do physical stuff, So I looked at chiropractors, I looked at doctors, I looked at nurse practitioners, I looked at physical personal trainers, I looked at massage therapy, I looked at all of these things, and I had to amass a great deal of information about each of these potential careers before I made a decision to change careers and to do what I chose. And that is what I believe it takes is that back work, to look at what you love and then look at all of the possible ideas around what you love, and then, understand what it would take for each of those to make them a reality for yourself. So that is my answer to Charlotte's question about how do you figure out what business to start. You got to do the legwork.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
And when you're doing all the things that Lisa just mentioned, use that notebook that Erika was talking about. That was great. Thank you so much, Sequoia, for hosting for us. And I am hoping that Sequoia will hand the baton off to Miss Leona Carter.
Hey. Awesome. So let me formally introduce myself, and we're going to have a 5-minute masterclass. We're going to learn something today. You ready? So my name is Leona Carter. I'm an intimacy and relationship coach for married women. I'm also a business strategist for speakers and authors. And so listen, we've been talking about maximize time. I want to let you know that one of the books that I wrote, Maximize Time, 44 strategies to effectively manage your time from motherhood to CEO. Go to MaximizeTimeNow.com and get yourself some strategies. So listen, I had to take my earrings off because I'm about to do some moving, and you know how the earrings ding on the microphone. And so listen, as entrepreneurs, it's important that you don't have to be the expert to start your business. Let me tell you what I mean. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to have all the answers in order to start your business. Now, this is a strategy that you can use. Some people have Facebook groups, so you need to build a community to help you with the messaging of your business, right? And so this is what that looks like. I knew my husband and I, we've been married for 26 years. We have 6 children, 1 grandson. And listen, we have not been skipping through the tulips all 26 years. Listen, right? And so that's why, you know, what I struggled, I now have overcome, and I help others overcome what I overcame. Right. But in the relationship space, I married my high school sweetheart. So, you know, we've been together forever. Right. But there were some questions that I didn't know. Right. I didn't have a dating life. I date the one guy, and he's now my husband. Right. And so as I was building my business, I built a Facebook group. And in the Facebook group, I use that as a sounding board, if you will, to ask questions. Now, how do you know your message is not clear to your audience? Because they will always ask clarifying questions. That's how you know your message is not clear. And so if I'm saying, you know, I help women. Okay, that's too broad. So you mean you help women do what? Okay, so I'm not clear. So let me make that a little bit clearer. I help women who are married. Oh, okay. Well, I've been married. So what do you help married women do? Okay, so that's not clear. Let's go a little bit clearer. And specifically, this is a true story for me. I help women build intimacy with their husband through the power of dating again. Oh, okay, Leon. I see. Okay, right. And so when your messaging is not clear, people will always ask clarifying questions, but that's okay because you want those clarifying questions. So use your Facebook group to do polls and surveys and all the things, right? So you can get clear. I wrote an article, and the article is called "How Small Can You Get?" and it's with your niche, right? And so, you know, we think a message for everybody is a message for nobody, right? And so I need you to get super clear on who you are. Now, listen, the young lady that was asking about how do I know what to start the business? Listen, I have a masterclass I would love to give to you for free, but you got to message me because it's hard to find you in this digital space. But if you see me, find me, right? And so the masterclass is Purpose Who? 6 key questions to ask when discovering your purpose. And I would love to give that to you. And so, you know, when you're really trying to get clear on your message, if you're foggy, you know, people aren't going to come to you. And so if I am so super clear, you see my green glasses, you see my green nails. If you haven't figured out, my color is green, right? And so if I'm saying to you, I help you add green in your wardrobe. It's so specific. And in the marketplace, I'm going to be known as the woman with green, right? And so when you're clear in your niche and who you serve, you become known for the thing, right? You become known for the one thing. And that's what you want, right? And so if I'm, you know, I'm having a problem, even a book, authors, speakers, your keynote is solving a problem. Your book is solving a problem. And so when someone says, I need to lose weight, I got these extra muffin top over here, I just really need to get, and what people say is, ooh, you know what? You need to get Leona's book about whatever, right? Because books and master classes and businesses and entrepreneurs, they solve a problem. And we're in this world running around with all these problems, right? And we need solutions, right? You need to be the prescription for someone's pain, and you are the prescription for someone's pain. And you need to know that, right? And so as I'm finished in this 3-minute masterclass, I told you about 3 to 5 minute masterclass, right? I'm wrapping up. So I want to ask, the entrepreneurs that are sharing the stage with me today, how did you know your message wasn't clear enough? Because let's be real. You don't come out the gate with that crystal clear message. You fine tune and fine tune and fine tune. So that's the question. How did you know your message wasn't clear? Yes, Nicole.
Well, I would say, again, I started out at this gym. And what I really started doing was I started listening to the pain points or the problems the people around me were having. I knew at that time, as Sequoia had brought up, I had a whole evolution. I've had a whole evolution since 2007 when I started my business. And at first, I wanted to just help people get organized. But as I started listening to the pain points that people were having, I honed in on ones that, oh, that's something I could solve. Oh, that's something I could solve, right? So getting organized was like, well, yeah, what do you mean? Like you said, people would ask more clarifying questions. And so I honed in on the pieces or the pain points or the needs, the problems that I had the solution for. And so when you niche down to that true, like, this is the solution, that's what you're offering, right? So I evolved from being in New York City and wanting to help people get organized. But as I started doing that, I recognized working with people then in that space, recognized that a lot of their cluttering issues were due to what was going on in their mind. So I niched down even further. Okay, with people who need to get clear in their mind and get organized from the inside out. And then I started working with mostly women. And so I recognized, oh, actually, I need to help more women first become empowered and confident in who they are and knowing what they want so that they can get organized from the inside out. Oh, okay. You know what? I don't freaking want to live here in New York City anymore. I want to trade in the concrete jungle for the real jungle here in Costa Rica. So I moved to Costa Rica, and then it became, I want to help women come on retreat. Leave your life for a little while so that you can get clear and get organized on who you are and what you want from the inside out. So it's continued to be an evolution now to becoming a mother and finding those moms to find their magic and their fuck yes, so that they can live their magic with their kids. And it just continues to be niching down. Yes, my 4-year-old says the word, because you know what? I believe fuck is a frequency. It's what you make of it, right? Again, I'm unique and outside the box. Hey, girl. And so I'm going to solve your problems, but I'm going to niche it down to find more and more of what is the exact thing that I'm offering, right? So thank you so much, Leona, for asking that.
Awesome. Lisa, did you have some? I thought I see your hand. Oh, okay. So yeah, Jen. Yeah, you got to put it in the window. Put your hand in the window.
Yeah. Which way am I leaning here?
All right.
Very similar to Nicole, where what I do with my clients has not changed, but the messaging around it has continued to evolve and get more specific to address the actual problem. It started at helping clients create a life for them designed by them. Great, floofy, very floofy. So now it's helping them break through limitations so they can unleash their full potential and achieve success on their terms. Because it's all about my ideal client feels stuck and feels like they're not harnessing their full energy. So by now changing the messaging to be like, I help you break through limitations so you can achieve success on your terms, it gives them permission to redefine success and break free from society's bullcrap. And B, it helps them realize no, I am worthy of more. But it was this huge evolution of listening to what my clients actually needed and actually paying attention. And this is going to come across wrong, but paying attention to what my clients were saying during the sessions, because I was always in the client sessions and I was always in the moment, but I never really took time afterwards to go back and look at the client notes to be like, what actually did just transcribe? What got them from, what got them to their breakthrough? And it wasn't until I went back and actually started to look through what were their breakthrough moments that I was able to truly hone in on my messaging.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then just kind of as we're wrapping up, another strategy to think about too is be very unapologetic about who you do not serve. Listen, it's okay to tell them who you do not serve. And so one of the things in my relationship space, I say, if you're living with your boyfriend, if you're dating, if you're engaged, if you're thinking about being married, I am not a fit for you, but I have some amazing coaches that I can refer you to, because listen, I don't have any experience dating. I'm married for 26 years to my high school sweetheart. And so be unapologetic about who you do not serve. So it makes it that much clearer about who you do serve. Thank you. Thank you.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Leona, for bringing your energy. I am looking to hand the mic over to Miss Lynette.
Oh my gosh, Leona, thank you just for blessing us all. What a gift, what a gift. And all you ladies are, but that's I'm more excited, right? To even follow up after that and be like, hey, let's keep that flowing. So thank you to all that are still here with us. This has been an awesome, awesome experience. So my name is Lynette Phillips, and I'm going to use the word pivot. It's made its appearance here, so it's not cliche, right? Let's give it some permission. And I'm a pivoter of the pandemic. I did not know that I would even, you would ask me a year ago that I would be here talking about entrepreneurship and had embarked on this journey. No, I was very happy working at the happiest place on earth at Walt Disney World. I have a 17-year career there, doing hospitality, literally making magic for a living, right? Bringing people's dreams, vacation dreams come true. And the pandemic happened, and it was really ushered me, kind of created the window, the door, the fire escape, whatever you want to call it, to go ahead and make this move. My favorite part of leadership was coaching, helping others actualize their potential, look at possibilities that were there. Hence the word of my company, empower your possibilities. The word empower just means make happen, right? Make your possibilities happen. From that standpoint. So I left the organization actually on really amazing terms. Like they were like, hey, you're 17 years at this point, we're going to see it as a gift because we've known that you've had this potential to kind of go and bet on yourself. So I've done that. And I did that with the most amazing support of an awesome, awesome husband. When I told him I was resigning, he asked me one question. He said, what does support look like? And that has really helped us because as you think about, the impact is impact to my kids, it's impact to my spouse, just how we do everything is different now over this last year. So I always tell him that's a sexy question. I would say that's such a sexy question that you asked me, right? What does support look like? It made me feel great, and it made me think, and we've held true to that of like, what does support look like in this transition? So that's a little bit about my story and journey about becoming an entrepreneur. And it's been iterations of everything. I've worked with one-on-one clients. I have subcontracted services as a coach, as the world now, it is $1 billion industry. And people are realizing, hey, it needs to be accessible for everyone. It's not just a luxury anymore. So I've done a variety of things that I didn't even envision when I first set out and said, let's get this thing going. My question for the panel today is, if you, as we're entering the last few weeks of the year, what's one thing that you want to recognize yourself for? And I asked that question because there are amazing awards. There's things that you can nominate yourself for, others get nominated for you. But I do believe a lot of times in entrepreneurship, we're on to the next thing we need to achieve. And we never say, girl, you did that. You did this. You made that meeting. You got with that person. You tested this out. You know, whether it worked or didn't. So I'm gonna start with Nicole because her I think it's your son is giving me joy every time he like pops on the screen or the noises and stuff. And then I'll let you select someone, and that's how we will kind of each recognize each other as I have the floor. But Nicole, tell me, what would you recognize yourself for this year?
Thank you so much, Lynette, for asking this question, because I think it is so huge that we recognize our achievements and celebrate. That is the frequency of abundance, and that is where you want to be living, to live your magic and your fuck yes. Yes, 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 yes. I would like to celebrate that I finally hit my first 6 figures, and immediately I set my next goal, and I was like, whoa, 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 mama. Slow your roll, mama. You got a 4-year-old child who you've been raising alone since the very beginning. You chose this path. And for a while I was using it as my, a reason that I couldn't succeed. It was like, I'm a single mom, but I'm a single mom, but I'm a single mom. And you know what? I really stepped out of that and allowed that to become my power. I'm a single mother who's doing everything by herself, and I am fucking hitting that 6 figures this year. And I went ahead and did that. And I was so excited to be doing that. And I'm so excited for what's to come next. And it gave me that chance to sit down and write down, how did I get here? And what were those important points that allowed me to really achieve this goal finally? And then I could take that and say, okay, now what's the next goal? And what am I working towards? So let's see, Leona, I just love your energy. So I'm going to shift it over to you next.
Hey, no, I, you know what? Listen, I'm a 10-time published author, and 5 of the books I wrote in the pandemic. You can't tell me nothing. That's mine.
All right. I want to hear from Chrystal. Chrystal, can you share with us? What
I
are
forgot
you
to pick
celebrating?
somebody. Sorry.
That's okay.
Chrystal. Yeah, I want to hear from you, Chrystal.
Okay. Just reiterate the question for me.
What would you recognize yourself for this year?
I think I would recognize myself for this year as having made some very life transforming decisions. I have embarked on a path to change my geographical location permanently. I'm in the midst of selling my house in Illinois and moving myself and my practice to Florida. So it's been a huge endeavor, frightening, exciting. By turns, I'm thrilled to pieces and terrified and depressed and overwhelmed. So managing to continue working and packing up my entire life, sorting through all my junk, getting rid of things, purging, and coordinating the entire move has been really, really intense.
Thank you for sharing that. And we welcome you with open arms here in Florida. We always got a lot going on. So just put on your seatbelt and get ready. But definitely, I mean, real estate law, I hope you and wish you much success in this. That's such a huge transition,
And I'm going to be close to you too, not too far.
Good. I hope we exchange information and connect and whatever I can do to help your transition and support you. Corner office possibly coming. So that space yep. And that community more than anything, right? So would love to continue. I invite you, Chrystal, to select a panelist to share their what they want to recognize themselves for.
Let's see. Sequoia.
I took my business full time this year. I quit my job and chose me. Oh, and I have to pick someone. I will pick Sophia.
Thanks. Geez. So I'm thinking, well, in the beginning in last year, well, no, this year, January, I sat down and you know how we come up with those words. And so my word was intentional. And I think that I didn't anticipate. So, you know, we were in the middle of the pandemic and I have 3 boys and there's this thing called remote learning that we had to do. And it was a total crap show. Like it was ridiculous. 3 laptops running back and forth. Like, get online? Are you on the computer? What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be in class? Like that was my whole thing. And so the balance of trying to do that, you know, as a single mom and then trying to be intentional about my business aspirations. Like I did not know how that was going to happen, but I did it. You know, I made some huge investments in myself. And so I can congratulate myself for that. I made it through.
Congratulations. I love that. What a great question, Lynette. That was super awesome. I so appreciate you allowing us to speak on that. And it went right along with why her version was originally created. I believe wholeheartedly that there are so many women who do so many brilliant things. And there isn't always a place for us to sit and talk about the things that we've done. And until more women that are speaking, people like Charlotte, you know, people like Lucy, and a few people that were on YouTube that are chiming in are looking for power, to pull power from other people like yourselves who are doing what they ultimately want to be doing. And until we start speaking our truth and speaking about our accomplishments, like hitting 6 figures or writing 5 books within a year, we don't know it's always possible. We don't always know it's possible. So I so appreciate all of you that are here and sharing your experiences and allowing people to dream, allowing people to realize, not dream, allowing people to realize that their dreams can come true. And with a little bit of work and a little bit of planning, they can ultimately get what they want out of life. And with that, I would love for Jen to take us home as our last speaker. And I'm hoping that you guys can stay on for just a little bit longer until Jen finishes up, and then we wrap up and close. I so appreciate every one of you being here with us today. So Jen.
Thank you. And yes, thank you everyone for sticking around. This has been such a great, empowering conversation. Just to quickly reintroduce myself, I am Jen Massey. I'm a mindset and empowerment coach who's really passionate about empowering women and small business owners and executives break free from the limitations that are holding them back from achieving their full potential and success on their terms. And Lynette, I'm actually I still want to share my win from this last year. So I'm just going to lead in with that because I am all about helping people truly understand what success is for them. And more than ever this year, I felt myself walking the talk and stepping into what I coach on and help people with. And it's redefining success, and it's knowing that success comes from within. It's the feelings that you're trying to achieve. And for me, for my business, when I first became an entrepreneur and a small business owner, I was like, I'm a small business owner. I can't work for the big guy. Like, I'm doing this all on my own. But I realized that that was limiting my potential. And there was an opportunity for me to, in addition to my private practice, start consulting with another coaching company. So I'm still doing what I love, but 50% of my time is with this company. And the reason that I was so excited about that is because it got me one step closer to my goal. So my husband and I, for the past 2 years, have kind of had our eyes moving to Oregon. And this side gig helped me realize our potential. So right now I'm sitting here in Oregon. My husband and I moved from Philadelphia last week, and I am now staring at North Sister through my window. So you have the power to create success on your terms, and you have the power. And I just want to celebrate that, like, I'm actually walking the talk and evidence that kind of what we're all saying here, which is if you speak your dreams, take a little bit of initiative and trust the process, you can fully realize who you are and what you're meant to do and realize success. So my question for all of you, as I keep stealing peeks at the mountain, because the sun has finally come up, because when we started this, it was 6 a.m. my time, but the mountain is beautiful right now. But the question I have for all of you is, how do you define success? Because I'm sure it looks different for each and every one of you. And I think it's so important for our listeners to realize there is no one definition. So who would like to kick off that? Lisa.
I define success as making my patients well, helping people get back to their lives. And for me, that is, it turns out to be only maybe 5 or 6 patients a week, but it gives me purpose. And, everybody has to define it by their own way. And that is what works for me. So
I love that. Thank you. Michelle.
So success is, like Lisa said, it's your purpose, it's your passion. So many people get wrapped up in the money aspect. Money is the lowest level of success, right? When people get stuck in that chasing the money, they're never going to reach their full potential of success. You have to yes, money is good. Everyone needs money. The more money they make, the more they can help more people, the more things that they can do to make the world a better place, right? The more abundance they can live in. But they got to get to those next levels of learning. How can you, first you want to make connections with people. You want to build relationships. Then you want to move on to learning. And then at the top tie it all in with your purpose and your passion. If you do those and those steps, then you're able to fulfill your purpose, have your success, and help more people.
Yeah. And we just, to that point, Blue just made a comment that money is the lowest level of success. And absolutely, there's an idea of like, we need to have enough, and enough is different for everybody. We all have different family situations, but you need enough money, and you can find ways through bartering and other things to get there. But once you have enough, it truly is, it's like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once those basic needs are fulfilled, then you can truly step out and start tapping into what's inside and reaching your full potential. Nicole, did I see that you wanted to say something?
I do, and I love that Michelle brought that up, that money is the lowest form of success. And I know that I also said that my biggest success this year was hitting the 6 figures, but that only came to me because I let go of being inside the box and let go of reaching for that goal, this financial goal, right? It became when I was fully aligned with my purpose, when I fully dropped into, again, not worrying about who was I polarizing and pushing away because I said fuck a lot. Well, I say fuck a lot, and so does my 4-year-old. And if you're offended by that, well, then we're not your people, you know? And really just tapping into, how do I offer myself from the truest form of really just allowing source, God, spirit, whatever it is that you call it, to use you as that vessel, because your soul is on a very specific mission. And your mission is going to be completely different than everyone else's. So when you allow source to work through and use that vessel, then you will always be more than enough, and that everything around you will be successful. So for me, I define success as am I living my truth and in alignment with my values?
I love that so much. And it really isn't, Sophia, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to comment on Blue's comment that just came in, which is being okay with enough as success as well. And I want to make a point here that is that a lot of people talk about scarcity mindset and abundance mindset. And scarcity mindset is the mindset that you don't have enough, that there's never enough. Abundance mindset is having enough. It's not having more than enough. More than enough is excess. To live with the abundance mindset is just knowing that you're enough and that you have enough. And Nicole, speaking to your comment about like what lights your soul on fire and being aligned, my story is actually very similar to Lisa's, where I always had this gut feeling that I was meant to empower and inspire people, but I didn't know what that looked like. And I did a Google search. Like, I was in a low of lows, and I literally just Googled careers that can help me empower and inspire people. And that's how I found coaching. And then I enrolled in my coaching program. So like, finding your purpose, like a lot of times, and we all are living our purpose, but a lot of the listeners may not be. So it's understanding, what are your values, what makes you special, and just start Googling. Just start Googling to start seeing what connects with you and doesn't connect with you, and start leaning in that way. Sophia.
That's so good, Jen. I'm following the same train. My business coach, she talks about, we chase purpose, not money. So we call ourselves purpose chasers, and that's what it's all about. Like, I'm a God girl, and so if I'm in alignment with what he's calling me to do and I'm chasing my purpose, that's my success, because everybody, we're all different. Like we talked about, we're all different, and we have different aspirations and different gifts, and everybody might not like what I'm doing, but as long as I like what I'm doing and I'm chasing the purpose that I feel like I'm called to, then that's the success. That's it right there.
Awesome. I just saw Lucy dropped a comment in. I'm going to abbreviate this a little bit, but it's all about like getting dialed up and feeling like you have to spend time getting made up to feel worthy and being accepted in the entrepreneurial world. I do think a lot of that comes to society's expectations of us and us having the confidence to break through that. In the beginning, I very much felt, coming out of a corporate environment, like, oh, I'm giving a talk, like, let me put on a blazer or let me do this. And I am not my best self when I am wearing a blazer. You all are lucky that I'm not wearing like my robe right now. My husband tells me I look like a pimp when I have it on, so I try not to wear that onto video calls. But like, you got to be you, and you got to be comfortable, and you have to know that you are worthy, and the value you bring to people is not in the appearance of who you are. So if you feel good with makeup on, put makeup on. If you don't feel good with makeup on, don't put makeup on. I personally can't wear makeup. My skin doesn't allow it. So I don't. And does that mean I look washed out sometimes on camera? Yeah. You know what? Doesn't matter. The value coming out of my mouth does not change. So Lucy, definitely start to understand like what makes you feel most comfortable. And if you do feel most comfortable getting made up, then change your mindset around it. Rather than looking at it like it's a chore, embrace it as something that you want to do so that you can feel empowered. Got to find your own answer there. But yeah, I personally, like I said, I operate in my best self with baseball hats on. So that's what my clients get. Even the side consulting gig, and usually in the first call, I'm like, if they're lucky, they get a blouse. Otherwise, I'm in a hoodie. And I'm like, I know this is executive coaching. This is who you hired. Let's go. So,
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to share. That's a great question that Lucy asked. One of the things that makes me feel successful is my ability to manage my yeses and feel good about it. Because when you say yes to others, you say no to yourself. When you say yes to yourself, you say no to others. And it's not always a yes to yourself. It's not always a yes to others. But when you balance that, so wherever my yes is, I want to feel good about it. Like if I told you, actually, I'm saying yes to me, so it's a no to you, I want to feel good about it. And the more I practice, the better I feel good about it. And so that makes me successful.
I love that so much. A super powerful question that people can ask themselves. And this is great for anyone struggling with setting boundaries around their time, space, energy, around how they're presenting themselves. By saying yes to this, what am I saying no to? And you really have to weigh the two options to say, which one do I care about more? So by saying yes to this, what am I saying no to? And if you're the one that you're saying no to, check your priorities. Anyone else have any final comment? Go ahead, Chrystal.
Hi. On the question of what does success look like for me, I have to say it's work-life balance. And I can't describe it to you, but I know it when I see it. It's like porn.
When you see it, when you feel it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as far as Lucy's question about the dressing for success, I grew up in the generation where you had to dress for success, and because we're women in the workplace, and you have to work that much harder at dressing for success and wear the power suit and all that kind of thing. And I still get called out for not wearing makeup and things of that nature. And I have always felt much like you do, Jen, that, if people want to work with me, they're going to work with me regardless of what I'm wearing. The pandemic has been a wonderful blessing because every court date has become so much different. Rather than having to spend 2 hours in the morning getting ready and being uncomfortable and wearing high heels and nylons and all this nonsense, I can just dress the top of me and wear sweatpants underneath.
I totally have flannel pants on right now.
Yeah.
And it is, especially if you come out of an environment where you're expected to look and dress a certain way. I didn't receive a promotion one time because they didn't like how I dressed. They thought I wasn't professional enough. And I was wearing business professional clothes. I was just very insecure in my own body. So I wasn't wearing what they wanted in the accounting field. And it's like you have to be comfortable in your own skin. And you have to know that you're enough no matter what you have on. And yes, thank goodness for the pandemic and making flannel pants acceptable when you're presenting to a group like this. Erika, go ahead.
I have a really quick suggestion that can help, especially for women. And when we battle with not feeling good because we don't think that we're putting on a worthy or professional appearance, find people who do it well that you can emulate. Again, find people you can compare. So hook up with Sophia and say, Sophia, what are your top 3 tips to just freshen up my face so I feel great? And she'll say mascara, lip gloss, and throw some blush on your face or something, like whatever. She's going to have her tips. Know your color palette, right? Know what colors look best on you so that no matter what's here, if you wear this color, it changes how you're perceived on video and how people interact with you because you look vibrant and healthy. And then make sure health and wellness, you are taking care of yourself. Because if you do those things, it doesn't matter if you do winged eyeliner, you have your hair done and you look like $1 million, people will still listen to what you say. And also know you aren't for everybody. Nicole and I love to cuss. We use it in our teaching. We use it in our everyday language. And so people who may be a little bit more conservative wouldn't be our clientele. If you dress like $1 million as a real estate agent or as a lawyer, and then you attract that type of clientele, and be okay with that. Like, be okay of, I am appearance attracting, I am not. It doesn't really matter, but know who your clientele and who you're appealing to. Social media has distorted what we think is the expectation. And so understand, as much as some people want to use a filter, there's millions of people who don't want you to use a filter, and they could be your client too. So there's somebody out there for all of us. And then just make sure you have adequate resources so that you do show up, like all of us have said, feeling your best version of yourself.
Yeah. And I would love to just point out, and then Sabrina, I saw you pop on, and Sequoia has her hand up as well, that women are looking for permission to be more comfortable in their own skin. And if you can lead by example and use the power you have as an entrepreneur and a small business owner to show up as your most authentic self, whatever that looks like, whether it's a power suit, whether it's a tank top, like, it doesn't matter. What we're looking for is permission to show up as our most authentic self and finding our people, Erika, like you said. So it's be comfortable in your own skin, give yourself and give other women permission to show up in an environment and in clothes that make them feel good about themselves. So they're not like, I don't know. Anyways, Sequoia.
I think it's really interesting that we're having this conversation on this panel because entrepreneurship is all about breaking free and not listening to other people. And so I challenge you to take that entrepreneurial spirit that we were talking about at the beginning and put that into what you wear and how you show up in the world, and just do what feels good to you. I mean, I made the conscious choice to wear pajama pants to this panel because it felt appropriate to be on the entrepreneurial panel wearing pajama pants. And so as entrepreneurs, like, we get to choose how we show up. We get to choose what we wear and, what we say and the vernacular that we use and the messaging. And so, that corporate mindset, that working for someone else mindset comes through in more ways than just work ethic and how we work. It also shows up in how we show up and how we talk and all these other places. So I challenge you to find that entrepreneurial spirit and let it shine through in every avenue of your life.
Well said.
Yes.
Way to wrap us up.
Yes. And I also want to mention, I actually dealt with this a lot because, YouTube, I've been on YouTube for now 7 or 8 years. And one of the issues that I was having is not getting on as much as I wanted to get on because I always felt like my hair and my makeup had to be on before I actually went on. And what I actually did is I was getting so frustrated with like the time management, especially with these curls and then making sure that they look all beautiful before getting on, is I actually made a commitment to do 52 videos, 52 days in a row with zero makeup. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to do it exactly the way the men do it. I'm just going to shower and show up. And what it did is a serious freedom. And I announced that I was going to do it. I said I was going to do it. And I did 52 videos, no makeup in a row. And what was awesome about it is when I started wearing makeup again, it was actually originally 30 days, by the way. It was 30 days. I was going to do 30 days, no makeup, and 30 videos. And I wound up going over that because it was just so easy. It was so awesome. It was so like liberating for me just to be like, this is my face. Like, this is what my actual face looks like. This is what my actual hair looks like. And what was awesome about it is when I did start to incorporate makeup again, not only did I use less makeup, but then it was easy to do on and off because by 52 days in a row, everybody who sees me, you know, who like enjoys my content definitely saw me at least a couple of times during that 52 reign. So there was no like worriness of like, oh my gosh, what if that one person that was supposed to be my client and I'm like scaring them right now? They saw me, everyone saw me. So I could then at that point do my makeup or not do my makeup and everything was fine. And the awesome thing too about inviting you beautiful ladies on, you know, now that I'm doing podcasts with guests and stuff is the flexibility. I always tell everybody, listen, we're comfortable. You can drink coffee, you can relax on your couch, you can be in your car, like I don't care. And that gives me the flexibility to be able to have my hair up in a bun and have no makeup on and not be apologetic for it. There's been a few times when I show up and the guest is looking like legit and I'm like, hello, feeling a little bit underdressed here. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And I feel comfortable in that. So I totally understand. I want to thank you ladies so much for being here. I so appreciate your time that you took on a Saturday morning. I appreciate everything that you gave to this. I certainly hope that you guys will be open and willing to do more impact panels with me as the season goes. For those of you listening live, there's still so many people listening live. I so appreciate you guys being here. The number literally kept going up. It was not going down. So that's always one of the things is when you start to lose people. But we kept the energy going and the energy flowing and the information was phenomenal. So I so appreciate that. Excuse me. For those of you that are looking to connect with these ladies, a lot of them are tagged on Facebook. A lot of them are tagged on LinkedIn, also Instagram. So I know that they're going to be, you know, frivolously typing and connecting with people. So anybody who wants to connect with these ladies, you know, flow through the comments and through the threads and you'll see them tagged randomly. And then also their contact information was flowing on the bottom. So maybe click back and maybe their information will be at the bottom. So thank you so much for joining us here on Her Version. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at herversion.life. We have a brand new homepage that is just filled with content. We are just expanding with content. And I'm so excited for the community, the platform, and these ladies that are willing to give their time and to give back. So I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. Do something awesome today. Much love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.